Well, more than 342,000 people attended this year's North Dakota State Fair. General Manager Craig Rudland says 342,430 people attended over the course of the 9 days this year. That is a dip from last year's record-breaking number of 356,000, but it is still up significantly from 2022's 314,000. The fair kept a high attendance despite that midweek heat wave that almost cracked 100 degrees. The fair saw the return of many fan favorites like the Budweiser Clydesdales and the MHA Indian Horse Relays. Shows from Machine Gun Kelly, Lainey Wilson, and others saw large crowds. Now, don't forget, next year's fair is July 18th through the 26th in Minot.